Hey, what's going on? It's a 200K adjuster coming at you. Appreciate you guys tuning in. It is a nice, cold, chilly day. Here, I'll show you guys kind of outside here. Got the snow kind of on the road. You can kind of see the snow on the bank over there. Just cold outside. It was 28 degrees last night. I had 3 different layers of clothes and blankets on to keep warm. I was actually pretty warm last night, even though it was really cold. I didn't even turn my truck on until about 6 in the morning this morning. Usually when it's below freezing, I turn my truck on at least once during the night, maybe twice for about 15 minutes just to warm it back up. But I did not need to do that last night, so I slept great. And I'm a cold sleeper as it is. There we go. So it was awesome. But anyways, I wanted to talk about a topic that we have been kind of mulling over in the Facebook groups, which is how to mentally handle leaving your kids behind. Now, I kind of pose this more for the lady adjusters in our groups, just because, as you guys know, 70% of everybody that views this channel, this is a very male-dominated channel, and only 30% are females. And I just want to make sure that we're talking about topics that all of us adjusters find important. And one of those things definitely is kids. And now I pose it to the ladies, but then all the guys started chirping in, hey, it's not just the ladies got to deal with leaving kids behind. The guys got to deal with leaving kids behind too. And that is true. You know, I left my kids behind early December. And I say kids, it's my kids and wife. I know you guys, some of you are single parents, and so I'm pretty much focusing on kids. But for me, it's actually my wife too. I really miss my wife quite a bit. So even though I'm saying kids, I just want you guys to know that it's not just my kids I miss. You know, I want my wife to know that too. So honey, if you're looking at this, I miss you, babe. So, anyways, that's brain freeze here. Here we go. Rewind that. So the topic of leaving kids behind, and that's a very big deal for a lot of people. We're in an industry where we are away from home for a long period of time sometimes. And, whenever you leave your family behind, kids or spouse or both, that can be accompanied with some guilt. It can be accompanied with, some loneliness, some depression. Those things are real. Those are real emotions. And, I'm not coming at you with these videos and stuff because I know everything. I'm coming at you with these videos because I've had the same feelings that you have, that guilt of leaving your kids and your spouse behind, that loneliness, especially over Christmas. First time I ever missed a Christmas with my family was this Christmas, a few weeks back. And there was a loneliness, there was a depression that I had, guilt for that I had. And, so I'm not saying that I figured this all out, that I am the #1 source of, therapy for you guys, but I have learned some things. And that's all I'm trying to do, is just share the things that I've learned with you guys to help you guys in coping with some of these same emotions that I have, knowing that, knowing that there's more people just like me out there, right? You guys, I'm not the only one that feels this way. And so I just want to create these videos to kind of help you guys out with some of this stuff as well. And that's the other thing, is there's not a whole lot of people that talk about this stuff in any industry, really. There's especially this industry specifically, there's plenty of videos and stuff about how to do things, how to go about things, but there's not a whole lot of videos about how to deal with the mental, emotional stress of just being away from people that you love and you care about. So that's what we're going to be talking about. By the way, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you would please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button right now. I'm actually going to slow down my talking so you can find it. Take just 5 seconds and hit that. Also, if you found anything in this video that helped you guys out in any way, shape, or form, please leave a comment. The YouTube algorithm really needs that. And what it does is just, people that are in our position as adjusters and they go look for videos, they need this information too. It's not just us. And every time you leave a comment, what you do is you just make it more possible for those people to find these videos, okay? Don't think about it too much. If something, strikes you, just say, hey, great video. Thanks for sharing. Nice, awesome, 100. It can just be one word, right? It doesn't have to be a lot. Just take the time to do it. It helps me out, but also it helps people that need the information get the information. And so they realize that they're not alone in this, in how they feel, okay? So what we're going to talk about is how to deal with leaving your kids on deployment. Obviously, this is more for those who are field adjusters, although even desk adjusting, I mean, you're spending a lot of hours behind the desk, and you might feel a little bit of guilt in not being able to spend the time with your kids like you'd want to, even though you're there, you're not really there, right? And so this is for everybody, okay? Not just field guys, but field people definitely need this information. So number one, I got a couple things, and I've been thinking about this for a few days. I didn't just want to just create something that off the top of my head. I've been actually thinking about this. But number one is ask yourself why you are doing this. Why are you doing this? Now, we're all going to say money, right? I think that's the easiest answer to come up with. I mean, that's obviously one of the reasons why I got into it is money, right? But really, why the money? What is the money doing for you that you think it's justifiable for you to be away from your kids for long periods of time? You got to think about that. And I think some people, maybe they use money as the excuse, but the real reason they want to make the money isn't to provide for their family, but to satisfy an ego of keeping up with the Joneses, or making mom and dad proud, or being able to do the same things that maybe a brother can do with his kids, or a sister might be able to do with her kids, or vacations they can take them on, or maybe the friends in your circle are able to do things that you weren't able to do. And so, you had to find an industry you can get in where you can now, keep up with the Joneses. And I can guarantee you, if that's your reasoning, if that's the sole purpose of you doing this, is you just want to make money so you can keep up with the Joneses, number one, it's going to be an empty feeling every single time. Number two, you're going to actually have more guilt than even the natural guilt you'd have from being away, because deep down you're going to know, what, this isn't a good reason for me to be doing this. It's not a real reason to do anything. I love my parents. I don't say this haphazardly, but who cares what your parents think? I'll just let that sink in there for a second. Who cares what mom and dad thinks? Hey, you need to go make more money. Hey, you need to go and do this. Well, maybe your mom and dad want to keep up with the Joneses too, because maybe their friends have a kid who's an engineer and they're taking their kids on vacation, and here you are doing whatever you're doing, and yeah, you can't go to Europe every other year, right? And so mom and dad are trying to keep up with the Joneses too, and the way they're going to do that is to force you to go do something that's unhealthy for you and your family. Think about that. That's real. There are plenty of parents out there. You can just check the sports groups. There are plenty of parents out there who try to live vicariously through their kids. And are you allowing that to affect your decision on what you're doing with your life? You need to stop. It's your life. It's not their life. It's your life. And don't do that to your kids when they get older, right? It's their life. So why are you doing this? What is the real draw for you to leave your family, or for you to work these hours to make this kind of money? What is that draw? Is it a viable reason for you to choose this lifestyle? Now, with that said, there are viable reasons for you to choose this lifestyle, okay? Money is a real one. They say, I can't remember, I wish I had remember where I read this report, but they say that it takes a family of four $120,000 a year to have the same lifestyle that our parents or grandparents had in the 1970s and 80s. $120,000 a year with four kids. That's putting 10% of your money away for savings. This isn't an exuberant lifestyle. Some of you people who have never seen $120,000 in a year before think, man, if I could just make 80, I'd be great. No. Okay? You'd be surprised on how little you've been living on until you actually hit $120,000 a year. Let me tell you something. $120,000 a year just lets you save up 10% of your income a year. It lets you afford health insurance. It lets you afford doing 2 weeks vacation. Okay, not an exuberant vacation, just 2 weeks vacation. Okay, it lets you afford having 2 cars. It lets you afford having a house. That's what $120,000 does. It lets you put a little bit of money aside for your kids' education in the future. That's it. It's not super exuberant. You're not driving around in a Rolls Royce. You're not driving around in new trucks every year. I mean, literally, you are living the middle class lifestyle in a healthy neighborhood with healthy schools, providing a generally healthy lifestyle for your kids. That's it. $120,000 a year, 4 people. Okay. So that's a real reason. If you're like making $50,000 right now and you're living paycheck to paycheck, yeah, and you want to, man, you need to be saving. Man, you need to get your kids out of the school they're in. Man, you need to get out of the neighborhood you're in. That is a viable reason to go look for other streams of other ways to make money. Larger amounts of money, okay? And so if that's your reasoning, okay, you should not feel guilty about that. You really should not feel guilty about that. If all you're trying to do, you're not trying to, you're not casting your kids aside, missing out on their life growing up so you can go drive that new Lamborghini next month, or you're going to buy that huge mansion and it's all going to fall into place and you're going to have $1 million in the bank. No, if you're doing it literally to make sure that your kids just have a generally healthy lifestyle, that has nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to feel guilty about. Okay? But that leads me to my second point, which is you got to know your number. What really is your number? That 120,000 is a national average. Well, places like New York City or LA, obviously that skews that number up. So you literally may only need to make 80,000, 90,000 in your area to provide that lifestyle. Being able to save 10% of your money, being able to take 2 weeks vacation every year, being able to put your kids in a decent school zone, to live in a good, decent neighborhood, to have 2 vehicles if there's 2 adults. What is your number? You have to know your number. And then you have to know when you're going to cut off. Right? So if your number, say, is $120,000 and you got to make that $120,000, your goal should be to make that $120,000 as fast as you can, in my opinion. Some of you may want to spread it out, over the year. I want to make it as fast as I can because I know I can hit it and be done, right? I'm still working on that because I don't know if that's the best way to do it or not. That's the way I'm doing it right now. If some of you guys have been doing this a little bit longer, say, no, it's best, for the kids, it's best to, maybe be gone for a couple months and then come home, be gone for a couple months and then come home. You guys let me know. As I said earlier, I'm not the end all be all. I don't know all the answers, but the way I figure is I want to hit that number and then I'm done. It's my cutoff, So know your number. Know why you're doing this. Okay. Then you got to communicate that to your kids. That's the other thing you need to do. You can't leave that to chance. You can't assume your kids are going to grow up in like, hey, I really appreciate mom or I really appreciate dad leaving and being gone for a few months every year because, it provided me this lifestyle and I realize and I understand what they did. They did what they had to do. Don't leave that to chance. Don't leave that to chance. You got to train them. You got to teach them. Hey, now, one of the benefits that I have is I have a very supporting wife and she does this really good with my girls. But for you single parents out there, you're going to have to kind of put that effort in. Hey, this is why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this just because I'm chasing money and I'm greedy and I want to, have that, 50 acres with a 10,000 square foot house, and I'm willing to miss your childhood in order to go do it. Okay. You can be telling them, hey, you know what? There are certain things that we need as a family, and I can't do that any other way unless I do this. Unless I leave you for a period of time. Okay? I'm not leaving you for any other reason than it's necessary. It's needed. I need to make sure that you guys are in a good enough school. Now, we homeschool, but I'm really talking to parents, single parents out there, or parents in general. We homeschool because I just, I feel it's a safer environment anyways. And I think we're going to do a better job in teaching our kids about how to handle life than what the school will. Okay. But that's for us. If you homeschool, great. If you don't homeschool, great. But you still got to put your kids in a school environment where they have the best chance to learn. I'm not going to get on that tangent, but I have a whole tangent on public schools and private schools and all that kind of stuff right now. But you got to put your kids in a chance where they have a good shot at an education that actually teaches them about life in general, about how to go out there and do life. Okay? I'm going to get off that topic though. So you're communicating with your kids, hey, we need this. We need to live in a neighborhood where I'm not worried about you guys being out at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night because I don't know, what's going on down the street. You guys should be able to be out 9 o'clock at night, call you guys in when it gets dark, and you guys should be good and safe, right? I don't have to worry about you doing that. You have to explain that to your kids. You have to explain, hey, there's no other way really to do that other than for me to do this here, to leave you guys for a short period of time so I can provide that safety for you, so I can provide a chance for you guys to have a shot at a good education, so we can provide some memories for you. I have to do this, okay? You're going to over-communicate that. But then what you're also going to say is, hey, there is a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, okay? So, one thing we're already talking about in my house is what is the vacation we're going on this year. We had a great time last year. We traveled around. We went to South Padre, South Texas. My kids were up and did a whole city tour of Chicago. They went to Kentucky. We went to Missouri. I mean, my kids traveled last year, right? And so they're going to be traveling a little bit more this year too. But you have to have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, okay? Hey, I'm going to be working this much. I'm going to be gone this much. Yeah, for you single parents out there, you might have to stay with grandma and grandpa for a while. You may have to stay with your uncle and aunt for a while. I'm sorry, there's no other way for me to do this for you, but I guarantee you when I get done, when I hit that number, that's why you got to have your number, and you got to be committed to cutting off after that number. As soon as I hit that number, I'm coming home and this is what we're doing. What do you guys want to do? What's your vacation you guys want to take? I want to warn you that you don't spend all the money you saved on a vacation as a way to take away your guilt. Okay. You have nothing to feel guilty about if you're doing this for the right reason. So you go and save up, $25,000, $30,000 in 6 to 8 months, and you're working all that time, and then you come home, you're not going to go take a trip to Europe. Okay. That'd be dumb. Okay. You don't want to do that, but you want to have a pot of gold. Hey, we're going to go, to whatever. We're going to go take this trip, or maybe we're going to go to these museums, or maybe, whatever it is, you have to have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Okay. And your kid, and every time you call your kids up, or often, you're talking about that pot of gold, right? You're talking about why you're gone. It has to be something you're talking to them about. I'm doing it for this reason, but guess what? When I get home, this is what we're doing. Is that what you guys really want to do? You guys want to take this trip, or do you guys want to do something else? Okay. What that does, that gives the kids something to look forward to. It also teaches a great lesson, right, to your kids that, hey, you have to work for things you want. You have to sacrifice for things you want. The world doesn't revolve around you just because you're kids. I'll stop and let that sink in for a second. your kids, the world doesn't revolve around your kids. So your world shouldn't revolve around your kids either. Okay, we'll jump off that for a second there. But, you're communicating, you have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Last thing I'll say is this, all right? When are you done? When are you done? I'm thinking about it already right now. I'm already thinking about ways that I can make extra money on the side so that I don't have to be gone 6, 7, 8 months out of the year to make the money that I need. Maybe I'm hoping where I can get to the point, the next 5 years where I'm going to have to be gone 3 to 4 months out of the year. And we're still able to make that money that we need to make to survive the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? You have to have an end game. And they have to be on board with that end game. Okay? Hey, I'm doing this. But you know what? In 5 years, hopefully, if we're all diligent and we're all focused on this, we can create different streams of income maybe. And then I can travel 3 or 4 months out of the year instead of 6 to 8, and we're still good. And now we really have the time together that we wanted to always have, right? The end game. You got to have some kind of end game. Now, it might be longer than 5 years, it might be 7 years. Okay, it seems to me, just based on the more I'm in this industry, it seems like 7 to 10 years is usually when people have made enough money they just get out. Right, 7 to 10 years. If you're in this for longer than 10 years, you're just kind of in that manager position and you're just, doing it because you just want to stay busy. You're not really doing it because of anything other than that. So, but 7 years, you got a kid that's 7 years old. In 7 years, they'll be 14 years old and you're only traveling 3, 4 months out of the year. Guess what? You're making basketball practice. You're making swim meets. You're making these things that you were missing out on earlier. But now you're going to almost every one of them, right? You're home for every major event. You're teaching your kids how to drive. You're the one who's teaching them how to go on their first date or whatever that is, okay? But you have to have a plan. You have to have an end date in mind. Like, hey, you know what? We're going to make this much money. I'm going to save this much money. We're going to start putting this money away into other investments. We're going to start creating different streams of income. And you know what? In the next 7 to 10 years, don't overthink it. It's not going to be 2 years. Don't think you're going to do this in 3 years. Next 5, 7, 10 years, hey, we're going to have something on the side where I only have to travel a couple times a year. But you know what? I'm home for all the big events. I am in the daily grind with my kids more often than even your sister or brother are now, who's an engineer, and you're actually with your kids in the daily grind because you paid the price now, and you were smart about the money that you spent. You were smart about the money you saved, and you had a game plan in mind. So anyways, those are just some things that I've been thinking about for the last couple of days. If any of that hit you at all, just please leave a comment below. Whether it's just 1 word or 100 words, it really doesn't matter. Just leave a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you feel like someone needs to hear this information, feel free to share the video. Over the next week or so, we're going to be talking again about, specifically for women, how to get respect from men in this industry, and then some things to do to stay safe as well. So if you have not subscribed and you want to make sure you don't miss those videos, go ahead and subscribe right now. Leave a comment and a like below. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you later.